Well, for the Question Everything conference, some people would say, since you've consulted a bit with Robbie Davidson, who's put on many successful conferences now, that this is just another Christian conference. Not that there's anything wrong with a Christian conference. And Robbie's conferences that he has had are, contrary to what some say, not Christian conferences. There are people of many beliefs or non-beliefs who are speakers at those conferences. So what about Question Everything? How does that go with the level of Christianity involved, or not?
I would say it's not labeled one way or the other. It is a conference that happens to be being put on by a Christian man and his wife, that some speakers are Christian faith. The topics that they're going to be talking about aren't necessarily even related to a particular faith or belief system.
So now let's talk about the Bible. And that's
Sure.
something, of course, that's going to be discussed at the Question Everything conference.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about who some of the speakers are going to be who are going to speak about the Bible, and a little bit about your thoughts on things. So we discussed a little bit with your move from Catholicism to where you are now, but maybe you care to elaborate.
Okay. Yeah. So Matt Long is going to start kicking everything off with a talk about the Bible, and because there will be some people, especially in the cosmology part of the conference, are going to be talking about biblical cosmology. Mark's going to be talking about non-biblical cosmology, but we're all talking about the same thing, really. So if at any time anybody is going to use the Bible as a reference, it needs to be established whether, first off, it is a reliable source. Can it be used as a citation, a citing text? And so Matt's been charged with this one.
Oh, and I own a Bible now. Oh, and I own a Bible now. Oh, and I own a Bible now.
Hello everybody, I hope you're doing good today. This video contains copyright material being used underneath the Fair Use Act to expose the fuckery. Flat Earth Hodgepodge. Just throw flat Earth in a pot with other fucking hot potatoes and bullshit potatoes and make flat Earth look even more ridiculous, because that's what they're doing. Patricia Steer did a show yesterday. She interviewed this guy named Joe Garcia. Joe Garcia came out of nowheres and created a conference, and he's got Robbie Davidson, Mark Sargent, Dean Odell, all the usual suspects there to attend it. And guess what? He didn't even become a flat earther until the SpaceX Tesla car launch. He says at that time he woke up, he was no longer a NASA fanboy, and discovered the flat earth. So just 6 months ago, he became a flat earther. Has no content on YouTube or Facebook. In fact, you're not even given a link to his YouTube channel by Patricia. All right? But he comes on here and creates a conference with you-know-who there. The cult. The evangelical cult. All right? So, they're going to take, this conference is called Question Everything Conference. It's basically taking everything from homosexuality to vaccinations and flat earth and everything you can think of and throw it all in a pot. So it makes it utterly ridiculous to even open your mind to the possibility that the earth might not even be a ball. And it's very obvious what's going on here. And it's very obvious that this is a cult. And you got a bunch of fake Christians. Okay? So, who is this Joe Garcia that just showed up out of nowhere, became a flat earther, and is operating in a conference now in Southern California? Let's have a listen.
The sciences. I know you grew up in Southern California, not exactly where the conference is, but Southern California, and you grew up Catholic, and I know your views have changed, but you had
she seems to know where he grew up and all this other stuff before he's living where he is now. She seems to know more about this conference than he does, and you will see this. Let's have a listen.
Doctrine that was part of your life, and what
beyond
the sciences. I know you grew up in Southern California, not exactly where the conference is, but Southern California, and you grew up Catholic, and I know your views have changed, but you had a doctrine that was part of your life. And what caused you to question everything about that and move to where you and your family and your wife are now with that whole thing?
That's a good question. That's because I was born and raised in that, and I went through catechism, so CCD. I got involved in youth groups there, and it was the life. It was what was expected of me. But when I finally got to the point, I think it was when I was about ready to get married, to the mother of my children, that I realized I have choices. What if I don't? I never really felt close to God in the Catholic religion. It was so different. And when I had somebody at work kind of take a little interest in me, I was struggling in my new marriage, and he's like, "Hey, why don't you come to this Harvest Crusade with us?" And so I got introduced to, Protestant Christianity, and it was different. It was
There you go. So he goes from a Catholic to a Christian, and if you ask me, he's a fake Christian, along with Patricia, who by now seems to think there's a creator, there's a dome earth like the Bible says so. And guess what? As you heard at the beginning, she even owns a Bible now. Now, they say this conference ain't going to be about Christianity or their evangelical cult, but that's exactly what this conference is going to be. And like I said, they're going to throw in 9/11, homosexuality, maybe even Sandy Hook, and that's an inflammatory subject, because if you sit there and try to tell people that no babies died, then you're just setting off fireworks, and then you're trying to tell them the earth is flat on top of that. That's why they're throwing all this shit in the pot. So let's listen to this next segment here. Yep, this is it. They talk about 9/11 and homos, and it's not going to be about church and stuff like that. But have a listen.
On the topic of 9/11, we're really not going to talk about who did it or the government is behind it. We're just going to put some things out there. But on topics of even the homosexuality topic, it is a topic that is put in our face every single day on TV, radio, film, you name it. So it is our responsibility as a parent to give an opposing view or a more another view. And
Yes.
because the silence says we agree with it.
Yes.
And but very important, I'm not attacking the individual in any way about homosexuality. In fact, we're just going to be asking questions about it. Is what is being put out there really true?
So there you go, 9/11, the homosexuality. I'll guarantee you who's going to do the homosexuality content. I'll put $100 on it that it's going to be Dean Odell, and it's going to be a real inflammatory statement that's going to probably make some people upset in and out of the homosexual community. And isn't it funny that all of a sudden Patricia's supporting Russian videos, who does a lot of transvestigations and stuff like this? And Patricia brings up the tranny subject too, and how we need to discuss that. Oh, the homosexuality, she describes it. She seems to think tranny and homosexuality is separate content. But anyways, let me show you something about this conference coming up here. Who are the speakers? You got it. You know who the speakers are. It's the same people over and over and over again. Robbie Davidson, Matt Long, Mark Sargent, Pastor Dean Odell, Nathan Roberts, Christine Hildebrand, that's supposed to be against vaccinations and stuff like that. A lot of these people, almost all these people, are Christians. So the idea that there's a balance in this is bullshit. They still have not had an atheist speak up at these conferences, and they never will. Okay? Because they seem to think you can't be an atheist and a flat earther. That's fucking impossible. I hope Mark tries to touch on that subject, because he just doesn't go very in depth. He just says, no, that's not possible. Can't have a flat earther who's an atheist. He can't be a real flat earther. Just total hypocrisy. But all these people are heavily religious. And then you got Paul on the plane. I don't know who this guy is. Jeremiah Dirt. He's some rapper. You know, you got to have music there. But guess how much this conference is going to cost, folks? General admission is $149, and keep in mind all these prices right now are 25% off, so they'll go up in 2 days. Sale ends. It says sale ends February 21st. But anyways, there's a 25% discount, and it goes off in a couple days. So the prices are going to go up. General admission is $149. If you want to bring a child 13 to 17 years old, it's $75. Keep in mind, for a child at Disney, it's $100. VIP lunch is $108. And this conference is going to be held at a community center. They usually don't have a full-on kitchen. You know, they have a little kitchenette, what's called a kitchenette. So this is probably going to be a catered lunch. It's going to be brought in. A lot of times it's cold, you know, but they're going to charge you $108 to sit down with these speakers at a table. That doesn't include prices for the conference. If you wanted to go to the conference, it's $149, and if you want to attend the VIP lunch, it's another $108. So it's going to, by the time you add on the 25% that they taken off, it's going to be $300 for this conference. Okay? And they're trying to say this ain't about money, but this guy's saying, hey, I came into Flat Earth, I found these people. These people are very special, intelligent people, and we need to give them our money. So he says, so if I make any extra money, I'm going to give it to the speakers. I'm not keeping anything. I'm not making any money off of this and nothing. And I forgot to say, they're also going to get this. Talk about CBD. They have a guy who produces CBD oil and THC oil. He's going to be there speaking about it. Now, keep in mind, Metatron is in the same business. Metatron, me and MGTV covered this long ago. Okay? Even FE Corps was going to get into this research of honey oil. I call it honey oil. That's what we used to call it back in the day. Hash oil, honey oil. It's CBD oil and THC oil. They're going to have a dude there that produces it and sells it. And keep in mind, Metatron is in the same business. What a coincidence. Metatron also wants to create a cryptocurrency that could be used to buy marijuana at dispensaries around the country. So isn't it funny that all this is being thrown into one fucking pot, including the flat earth? Spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare is taking place with these clowns right here. It's all spiritual warfare. All these clowns. Spiritual warfare. Jeez. So, there you see it, people. Oh, and by the way, of course, they're going to be selling merchandise at this thing, too. So, let's keep going here. Let's see, I think we covered that one. Yeah, let's listen to this one here. Patricia sitting here suggesting topics that need to be covered at this Question Everything conference. And guess what one of them is? It's the tranny topic. Now, don't you find this ironic that she was, because she's a victim of transvestigations, but yet she wants Russian vids and everybody else to continue their transvestigations, and this needs to be discussed at the Question Everything conference? Don't you all find this ironic? And that all of a sudden she's becoming a Christian who believes in a creator and a domed earth and bought a Bible? Let's have a listen.
Another topic that I don't think is actually on the table to be discussed, but I believe it is somewhat related, is the transgender thing that's been coming up in the past, I don't know.
That falls under the homosexual subject, Patricia.
Years or something, that at least on YouTube and in social media, it has been promoted to a huge degree, where the call and rally for it to be accepted and normalized, and parents, you know, you read stories about them giving their children hormones at very young ages and offering them operations. I mean, this wasn't happening when I was in high school back in the 80s, and I sound like an old lady saying that. But yet, I don't think any of us listening now, if we're over the age of, I'm just going to pick 30, can remember lots of trans people in our high school. I remember zero. And I go around my neighborhood and around the community I live in, and I don't see any trans people. I'm not out there looking for them. I'm not transvestigating everybody, but I don't run across this. However, when you go into social media or go on Twitter, you know, well, which is social media, but when you go on YouTube, it just seems to be out there, pushed. And
total hypocrisy. She's sitting there crying because she's been a victim of transvestigations, and now she's encouraging the flat earth community to take part in it. Wow, you people need to wake up. You're real sheep. You're like on NyQuil or something. You never woke up. So let's continue here. The next segment. Patricia asked about the guests that are going to be coming at this conference. And listen to what this guy says, because he brings up the CBD, and he brings up that the guests up until now are only on board with CBD and spiritual warfare and vaccinations. They don't know anything about the earth is flat. Nobody died on 9/11. In fact, that's what they're going to be telling people at this conference, that nobody died at 9/11. So you can imagine how inflammatory that's going to be to some people. And then they're going to tell you the earth is flat. So nobody's going to take these people seriously from now on. And I'm shocked that so many flat earthers are taking part in this conference when they shouldn't even know this guy at all. Remember, he supposedly just showed up on scene. So where did this guy come from? But let's have a listen here.
Now, you mentioned earlier 9/11, and for many it's a super controversial topic, but not in my world, because you know we you know kind of we all looked into that and then you know moved on from there. But when you go out into the regular world and deal with regular people, so many people still believe that it was a bunch of Arabs with box cutters, and you try to tell anybody any different. You try to mention Building 7 and you are met with blank stares and called crazy. So at the Question Everything conference, who's going to be talking about 9/11? And in attendance, will it already be those who already know about 9/11, or will there be people in attendance who will be awakened by hearing the speaker?
It is my hope that we have a good combination of people. The ones that I'm seeing and the people that I'm personally engaged with in inviting and getting to the conference, they're not on board with anything, with the majority of the topics, maybe except CBD, and they want to learn more about vaccines, and they're curious about spiritual warfare, those things. But the other topics, they're, I would say for the most part, are at best open to hear what we have to say. But you know what that means. They've already made their mind up, but they'll be kind and courteous and hear.
There you go, folks. These people are not on board with flat earth and 9/11 was set up and fake and nobody died and nobody died at Sandy Hook. And you know, I'm sorry, when you throw all this into a pot with flat earth, it's just going to it's going to destroy this community from within, and that's their goal. And this is dead proof of it. Patricia, now a Christian, believing in a creator and the dome earth and you know, basically the same shit Mark's pushing. All of a sudden. Do you guys really believe she's a Christian now and bought a Bible and is going to read that Bible? If you do, I feel sorry for you. This is the same woman that went out and bought horns, you know, the Baphomet horns from Disney, bought that costume, wore it on Halloween. I think it pissed Mark off, and I think that's part of the reason Mark may not be on our show. But I think the reason why Mark ain't on our show no more is because people have just lost interest in him. They've seen this documentary, and they probably got a lot of hate and emails that we're not seeing. So they decided, hey, we're not getting anywhere, we're not gaining any audience or anything, so we might as well just end this show. And I think that's why Patricia and Mark don't do their show no more. And I'm glad, you know, they both need to just disappear. And I don't mean, you know, in a bad way. I mean, they just need to move on. We don't need them in this community. Wow. All right, let's keep going here. All right, let's continue on here with the next segment. Patricia has conspiracy-minded friends, and she catches herself. It must have been somebody over there in the doorway. No, not conspiracy, truthers. You have truthers, not conspiracy theorists. Remember my last video for you that didn't see it. A conspiracy theorist is a person who makes shit up with the goal to overthrow their government. A truther is a person who knows they're being lied to and is looking for the truth. That's two totally separate things. Okay? Let's listen to Patricia here. She slips up and catches herself.
Well, there's so many things that we learned in history books about the way things happened. And then much later we find out differently. But it seems like we find out about the things when everybody who was involved with them is gone. Yeah. Like the Gulf of Tonkin incident in 1965 or 64. Right. We find out, those who seek truth, that was let's just call it not as we've been told. Okay, we don't need to talk about that. But I'm hoping for the day when 9/11 is known by everybody as not as we've been told. But like I said, I go around and talk to people out there in the real world, not my conspiracy-minded friends. Although I don't think any of these things, especially flat Earth, which we'll get to, are conspiracies. I think they're realities. But
you see her catch herself. Look at that look on her face. I fucked up. You know, in every interview she and Mark does, they refer to themselves as conspiracy theorists. People who make shit up in an attempt to overthrow their government. That's what they call themselves.
That word conspiracy, you know, it kind of makes us seem crazy. But you go out there in the regular world and most people still really, truly believe that 9/11 is what they told us. And I don't want to wait 50 some years.
So if people truly believe this, why are you mixing it in with flat Earth, Patricia? Let's go down to the next clip here, because it's more the same bullshit. She thinks we ought to throw Sandy Hook into the Question Everything conference, even though she admits here that people get real upset when you say no children died. Let's listen to this bullshit.
You mentioned earlier that they use things to pull our heartstrings, and that's kind of what had happened to you in some cases. They do that with children, and they do that with things like Sandy Hook, because if you dare speak up about that, then what about the children? You're so cold-hearted.
So why are you throwing all this shit into a pot with flat Earth, Patricia? You're encouraging all this, knowing that it's going to make people say, no, I'm not having none of this bullshit, and the Earth is round. We don't live on a flat Earth. You people are crazy if you think nobody died at Sandy Hook in 9/11. That's exactly what people are going to say. And that's exactly why this cult is taking this community into the direction of mixing it in all into one bag. Many people don't know the divorce from Dell and Russian videos started because Russian videos went on Dell's show, clicked on the link, went on live, and wanted to talk about Sandy Hook, Boston bombing, 9/11, and Dell wasn't having none of it. But that's the way this cult is going now. They want you to talk about it all, throw it all into one bag. Well, what happened to the truth community? It don't exist on YouTube anymore. So you got no videos on YouTube to back up the claim that Sandy Hook was fake, 9/11 was fake, and all this other stuff, because YouTube's pulled them all down. You got nothing no more. And you're going to try to tell people this shit's all fake? So let's keep on going to the last clip here. And keep in mind, Patricia knows more about this conference than this clown does, and it's very evident in this clip. Okay? It's very evident in this clip. And keep in mind, Metatron is into CBD, THC oils research, development, sales, and they want to create a cryptocurrency. So, let's have a listen.
One of the things that is going to be discussed, one of the many things is going to be discussed at this Question Everything conference coming up in February of 2019 in Yorba Linda, California, is CBD. And a lot of people have heard about CBD for the first time just from becoming involved in the flat earth awakening, because there are so many little side issues, which are huge issues in and of themselves, that present themselves. And we all of us people who are awakening have used the internet, have used YouTube and Facebook to get out so much incredible information. And one of those is about CBD, a cannabis compound that you can use for your health that doesn't get you high, doesn't make you stoned. And if you've got pain, any kind of inflammation, anxiety, psychosis, some people with seizures have benefited from it. Lots of different conditions with allergies, pets can benefit from CBD. But a lot of people don't know what it is. They think, well, you know, isn't it illegal? And isn't it a drug? And am I going to get stoned? You know a bit about it because you've used it within your family. Tell us about who's going to be speaking on CBD and what your thoughts are on it.
Metatron.
Okay. Yeah, Al Morenton of Movida Oils is our guest speaker about CBD. Al is the owner and operator of Movida Oils, and he has a story that he'll share with everybody about his glaucoma journey. He's had glaucoma for a very, very long time. In fact, lost his eyesight at one point when supplies got really low. And this is years ago before he started making connections with farmers with
So there you go. We got to check out Movida Oils. I'll bet you it's tied to Metatron in some way. Probably we'll never find the connection, but it's there. Trust me. You know, me and MGTV covered this in great detail, and not only was Metatron into the honey oil research, so was FECOR. So why is FECOR, who is a flat earth organization, trying to get into CBD research and oil and cannabis oil research? You're all sheep if you support this. Now I want to show you one more thing. Patricia's pushing this link here. She puts it on all of her videos now. It's called Stop, Look, and Think. I think it's put out by A Plain Truth or whatever his name is. I forget the channel name. I think it's A Plain Truth. But they're calling, you know, the wildfires in the recent, I guess the California wildfires were set off by a blue laser. You know, jets don't run on fuel. They run on compressed air. You know, they're just basically calling everything a hoax. People are going to die from the 5G, even though when I turned on my phone the other day to search for networks, there were 5G networks, and I was getting a good signal. I wasn't feeling sick or feeling like I was going to fucking die or anything. So they're just taking all this shit, and whether it's true or not, throwing it all in the pot to make it so fucking ridiculous that nobody will take the flat earth community seriously. That's what it's all about, folks. And anybody that supports this is a fucking sheep. Have a good day, everybody.